All right, we're on to question 2 of the 2012 NCEA 2 Algebra exam, final exam. Let's go through this. This is question 2, and we've got a factorize question, or if you're in the United States, you'd say factor, not factorize. I always think that's probably the better thing to say, to be honest. Why say factorize when you can say factor? All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and factorize this. Many ways of doing this. I'm going to do it in 2 different ways. The first way I'm going to do it is by division. Then I'm going to do it by decomposition, or in New Zealand we say splitting the x value. I prefer the American term, decomposition. But let's go ahead and do that anyway. So here it is, nice and straightforward. So first thing we're going to do is multiply the 2 coefficients together. Coefficient of x squared and the coefficient of x to the 0. So, of course, 5 2s are 10. I'm not going to worry about the negative, but I've got 5 2s are 10. Factors of 10 are 1 and 10, and 2 and 5. Put that little sidebar here. Of course, these are 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. Okay, so let's go ahead now, and we can go straight now to the answer using division. So I'm going to put a 5x here and here. 5x, here we go. The signs are different. That one tells me the signs are different. One's a plus and one's a minus. Does not matter which order I get those in. And the biggest of the 2 numbers is going to be a negative. Well, in no combination imaginable will 2 and 5 add or subtract in any order to become a 9 of some sort. But 1 and 10 will. So that we know the biggest one's going to be negative 10 is the biggest one, and we've got a 1. Now, all we do now is say, well, can I divide either of those by anything? Yes, I can. I can divide all this by 5. That won't divide by anything, so I'll put the equals down here, actually. It's probably a better place to put it. And, of course, I'm left with a 5x here plus 1. 5 goes into 5x, x times, oh, sorry, that's an x there, my bad. X times, and 5 goes into negative 10, negative 2 times. And there is my answer. Now, that's slightly quicker, I believe, than doing it by decomposition or splitting the x value. Let's do it by splitting the x value. Now we've already established what the answer is going to be. So I'm going to write it a little bit higher up. Oh, no, I can do it in that space. So I've got 5x squared. I've got minus 9x, and I've got minus 2. So we've got the same thing again. We've got 1 and 10 are going to be the numbers we're dealing with here. But I'm going to rewrite this down here. This is going to be my 5x squared here. And the negative 2 I'm just going to write down here. Negative 2, there it is. Now, we need something that's going to add or subtract to negative 9. And we decided before it was 1 and 10. So what would that be? Well, it's going to have to be, the biggest one's going to have to be negatives. It's going to have to be a negative 10. And it's going to be a positive 1. Yeah? So that's, of course, negative 10x, positive 1x, because negative 10x plus 1x is, of course, all of that is equal to negative 9x. So now we can go ahead and factorize. So I'm going to factorize this bit, and I'm going to factorize this bit. They're going to have something in common, as you're about to see. So let's factorize what's common to 5x squared minus 10x. Oh, by the way, it does not matter if we put the 1 over here and the negative 10 over this side. It doesn't matter at all. It wouldn't change a thing. So let's go ahead. Well, 5x is common to both. So the question becomes, what times 5x makes 5x squared? Well, the answer is x. And what times 5x makes negative 10x would be negative 2. And already you can see we've got something over here that looks very familiar. Now, the fact is this must be the same as this one. So I'm going to start over here and go x minus 2. These 2 in brackets have to be the same. The question is, what times x makes 1x? And what times negative 2 makes negative 2? And the answer is just simply 1. Now, I'm going to write that coefficient in there. Normally, a coefficient of 1 you wouldn't write in, but I'm going to write it in, and the reason we're going to write it in is now we've got our 2 sets of factors. We've got x minus 2. I'm going to write that in. We've got x minus 2 is one of those factors. The other one is 5x and 1. There it is, 5x plus 1. And you'll notice, of course, we've got exactly the same answer. Slightly more involved, slightly more sort of intermediate steps in between, but ultimately, same answer, nice and simple. Hope that makes sense.